This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we're previewing the battle for first place in men's lacrosse between Bates, Tufts, and Amherst. Plus, the tennis teams enter the heart of NESCAC play, and the baseball team prepares for a showdown with Bowdoin. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The number 12 nationally ranked Bates men's lacrosse team visits number 4 Tufts Tuesday night at 7 p.m. The Bobcats and the Jumbos are tied for first place in the NESCAC, both sporting conference records of 6-1. Number 6 Amherst is in the mix as well, with a NESCAC record of 6-2. The Bobcats play the Mammoths on Garcelon Field Saturday at 1 p.m. Head coach Peter Lasagna previews a massive week for Bates. Well, with this podcast coming out on Tuesday, if you're listening to it on Tuesday, Bates Tufts tonight, men's lacrosse at Tufts, 7 o'clock. Peter Lasagna with us here on the Bobcast. And Peter, what a week this is going to be, right? You got Tufts on Tuesday, then Amherst on Saturday. These are the top three teams record-wise in the NESCAC this season, Bates, Tufts, and Amherst. What are your thoughts on these two upcoming games? I mean, we've had some epic contests between these two teams over the past few years, haven't we?
My mind goes there when I figure how I will first answer you, Aaron. The Bates-Tufts game, with the exception of last year, where they got the better of it pretty much from start to finish, these games between these two teams in both venues, at Tufts and here at Bates, have been epic games. So I expect we're getting ready for another one.
You got a chance to watch Tufts versus Amherst the other day. What were your thoughts on what you saw from both teams?
Yeah, Tufts got off to an incredibly explosive start, actually very reminiscent of the start that they got off to when we scrimmaged them on February 20th or whenever that was, at the very, very start of the season. So we know what that looks like and know what that feels like. And then Amherst got themselves back into the game, started to win some more faceoffs, got some saves, rode the ball back well, and then it became what you would have expected, which is a great one-goal game between two of the best teams, not just in the league, but two of the best teams in the country. You
mentioned you scrimmaged Tufts before the season. What, if anything, can you apply from that scrimmage to now? I mean, it's a long year. There's a lot of stuff that's happened since then, I'm sure.
Thank God I can tell you I'm confident that we're a bit better than we were on that day. We know a lot more about ourselves. We've just been through many more of these battles and playing really, really high-level opponents and playing well. So that's the most important thing. I think that both coaching staffs are smart enough to be able to tell their students, don't put too much stock in what happened in the first week of practice. But that said, they also have all the same players that they had on that Wednesday night or whatever it was, and they're a really impressive group from start to finish. They're very big, very strong, very athletic. One thing that really impressed us that night was they got after the ball when it was on the ground in all phases in a really admirable way. So that's one area. Again, that doesn't change. If anything, they're as good or better at that aspect. Hopefully we are better, but that's one thing that we have to pay really attention to. In the scouting report, I say ball on the ground offense is when they're actually at their best. When there's a broken situation and the ball's on the ground, they make really good things happen.
Bates has been pretty good with those broken situations too, right?
Well, we're all right. That's part of why this is interesting, is because both teams want to take more than 50 shots. They're averaging a couple more goals a game than we are, but we both play similar styles. I don't think there's a real danger of the shot clock being expired for either team on Tuesday, though. If we get a lead late, we might just take 79 seconds at a time if we could. But yeah, that's why there's such fun games. I mean, it's fun for our guys to get ready for. I would imagine it's fun for the Tufts guys as well, because again, that nobody's going to try to shrink the game. Nobody's going to try to slow it down. We're going to try to be smart, and we're going to try to take care of the ball, obviously. But we both play the same style, and it's basically going to be who can get some stops and who can take care of the ball and turn it over the least, and who can capitalize on great opportunities.
It seems like the face-off battle. Eli Senior. He's been through the wars, if you will, through the years. What are your thoughts on the face-off matchups and how you guys are going to approach that? Because that can obviously swing a game anytime, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point, and I actually think Eli, where his percentage may not be exactly where he wants it to be for the year, I also feel like almost every one of these games, he's been good enough in chunks of the game to give us an opportunity. I mean, our record is what it is, and so he gets some credit for that, as does Chris Costello and the face-off wings. That's what we saw, and what we saw in the Amherst Tufts film was that actually, the face-off guys were pretty even. And it was whoever got the better of the wing play on those 50-50 ground balls is who won the day. And so that's been a huge point of emphasis for us since we got back to practice on Friday night.
For sure. And then, obviously everyone knows about what Matt Lestave and what he's done throughout his career, only a junior all-time assist leader in Bates history. Who are some other guys on the attack who have really stood out to you this year, who have helped support him? Because everyone's always collapsing down on him, so he's been passing the ball even more than usual, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that that's a great perceptive question, and Matt's had a phenomenal year thus far, as we expect. But I think the other guys really do jump out. Brendan Mullally is having the best year of his career, and just as he's one of those people that it's really hard to game plan for, because he might dodge for one or maybe two, especially if you try to put a short stick on him, which Tufts may do. But almost all of his goals come in broken situations, as you mentioned before, and in the unsettled and on extra man. And just because he's got an uncanny knowledge and an uncanny knack of when and where to cut. And he's a huge beneficiary of Matt's vision and Matt's ability to feed the ball. So Brendan, I think, has had a great year. Otis has been an incredibly wonderful surprise coming back for us, especially I think in the first half. He was just exceeded all expectations, and he's healthy again.
Yeah.
He's needed to put some more time in, and he's looked really, really great the last couple days. So that gives us a big boost. And then Matt Kelleher, pretty much wherever we've put him, he has responded. And especially with Otis banged up, we put Matt down on the attack more in these last couple games, and he did a really nice job. And then when we put him in the midfield, he almost always delivers a timely and important goal. So I would mention those guys. Dylan McManus has come on recently, played his strongest game against Conn College, made a couple of really, really big plays for us, which was neat. He had a huge smile on his face after that game. So he's now another element that we have going for us and that other people have to figure out how to defend. Jackson Sell, another freshman, got his most significant minutes against Conn. He's out right now, but hopefully we'll be getting him back at some point soon. And yeah, we're pretty deep there. I think that the midfields have sorted themselves out. Curtis Napton, I think, is having an All-American year. I think Duke Brown-Jones is as well, for all the different things that he does for us. We get Jack Scribner back, and I think we have noticed what an important role he plays playing without him in these last 3 NESCAC games. And so, a lot of Matt is certainly the focus of everybody's defensive game plan. He should be, but we have other people that can make you pay as well.
For sure. And then you mentioned the midfield. Defensive midfield is kind of interesting because I personally don't know how to evaluate play there, but when folks are watching the game, defensive midfielders obviously have a huge impact on it. What do they need to watch for?
That's an informed and smart and high level lacrosse fan question. With our style, where everybody is an offensive player and everybody's a defensive player, those short stick defensive midfielders might be the most important players in our game, because not only are they going to get picked on the most and dodged and isolated the most as one-on-one defenders, but they're also really critical team defenders and team communicators. And then when we do get stops, they are the first person we're looking to when we're trying to get the ball from defense to offense. So they're critical in our clearing game. They're critical in our transition game. And RJ, I don't know where he is now, RJ Sarka, but for a while there, RJ was our 4th or 5th, leading midfield scorer with probably less than 10 goals. But when you get a play like that, when you get an RJ Sarker, an Andrew Lohman, or Sean Paul Clark, or Jack Golden, going the length of the field and scoring us a goal, or Jack Golden had one of the best lines I think you can have as a freshman defensive midfielder against Conn. I think he had 5 or 6 ground balls, which probably were all on the wing of the face-off. So that's 5 or 6 possessions for us. A bunch of successful clears, 3 assists, and 0 turnovers. He does not look like a freshman. So we're really deep at that position. Walker Cooney got hurt early in the week. We're gonna miss him. But we just feel like, those guys are critical pieces of what we do. And in this game, trying to defend the Tufts midfielders, those guys are going to get left out on islands and called upon to defend a bunch of the best midfielders in the country. So this is going to be a great test for us and for them.
This is kind of an intangible thing, but Tufts and Amherst, they're in Massachusetts. They're kind of more maybe in the heart where sort of more media coverage is. And do you feel like Bates has been overlooked a little bit this year because of maybe last season? Or what are your thoughts on that in terms of compared to the rest of the conference?
I'm probably not in a great position to give any sort of objective answer to that question, so I'll just go to what our record is.
Yeah.
Our record is 9-2, and we're one of 2 teams in the country that has a win over Wesleyan, who continues to be in the top 5. So it's hard this year because there are so many good NESCAC teams, and Wesleyan deserves to be where they are because they have really, really impressive wins, and Amherst deserves to be where they are because they have really impressive wins, and Tufts and Williams and Williams beat us head to head. So I can't have a beef with anybody because those teams have really, really significant wins. I think we have a significant win as well. And our losses are to RIT and Williams, who are really, really good teams. So the fun about this, Aaron, is that we get to play people that are ranked ahead of us and that we are competing with for the top of the NESCAC. So to sound like an old, crusty Italian man that I am, the only poll that matters is the last one. Though I would say that the one that contributes to the seeding of the NCAA tournament is somewhat important as well. So these rankings do matter a little bit, but we're in a wonderful place. It's a beautiful day. We're home. We get to practice. We're full-time lacrosse players right now, and we get to prepare to play one of the very best teams in the country. And so we're in control of our fate, and that's all we can ever ask for.
There you have it, at Tufts Tuesday night, and then Saturday afternoon, right here on Garcelon Field, Amherst coming to town. Peter Lasagna, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Last week was finals week for Bates students, so there weren't a lot of events for the Bobcats. The baseball team was in action Saturday, though, splitting a doubleheader at Leahy Field against Wesleyan. Bates won Game 1 by a score of 4-2, scoring 4 runs in the bottom of the third. Senior Justin White tallied a big 2 RBI single in the win, and junior Nolan Collins shined again on the mound. Collins tossed 6 1/3 innings of 2-run ball, striking out 6 to earn his 4th win of the season. Collins leads NESCAC pitchers in strikeouts, and he is our male Bobcat of the week.
Nolan, your last 2 starts, Coach Martin's giving the chance to go out there for the final inning. He's obviously showing confidence in you to try to close the game out. What are your thoughts on him showing you that confidence and Alex Simon backing you up, getting some saves as well?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great to see that he has the confidence in me to go out for that last inning. Obviously, I'd hope to finish the last inning one of these times, but it's great that Alex Simon has my back. He's a real great closer. And he's really reliable, and it's awesome.
So against Wesleyan on Saturday, what was kind of your focus out there on the mound? It's not a divisional matchup, but obviously you want to go out there and win.
Yeah, it was a big game. It's still a NESCAC opponent, so it's good to compete, and it was fun. But my approach on the mound really was just getting ahead with fastballs, and they had trouble catching up to it, and then just mixing up speeds with that, and my curveball was nice.
We haven't talked necessarily since the Salem State game, so you also had the matchup against Trinity. Those are 2 good offenses, Trinity followed by Wesleyan, right? I mean, did your approach differ at all between those 2 teams, or was it pretty similar?
Well, I kind of had different stuff working both times. The Trinity game, my changeup was really nice, and my curveball was good. Against Wesleyan, I didn't have my changeup really, but it was kind of the same approach, just work ahead with fastballs, like get ahead in counts, and then from there, it's a lot easier to miss barrels and get strikeouts. So it's just getting ahead with the fastball and working from there.
And, the Trinity game, I'm looking back on it. Early on, you walked some guys, but after the second inning, it was kind of lights out. Yeah. Did anything change for you?
I think I just found my timing, really. We had been working on some stuff midweek, and I was focusing on that in the early innings. And I think it was just taking my focus away from actually pitching. And once I kind of just forgot about the adjustment and started doing what I've been doing all year, and it worked, and I just kind of fell into a groove.
Bowdoin this weekend. This is a team that I believe actually took 2 of 3 from Bates last year, a little surprisingly perhaps. Obviously it's a big rivalry. What are your thoughts on Bowdoin coming up?
I'm excited. It's really important for our playoff hopes that we go out and we hopefully sweep. We need to kind of win some games here. But they're a good team. They've had a little down year, but they played Tufts pretty close. So they could be dangerous, so we got to take them seriously.
Right. I mean, like in the NESCAC, Bowdoin lost all their non-conference, but they go out and sweep Colby right away and start NESCAC play. It's a brand new season, right?
Yeah, that's right. Once the NESCAC season comes, it really turns into a new season, and it's a real short season too, only 12 games, so you got to make everyone count.
And then on Saturday, Brian Gotti did have a solo home run, first of his career. What are your thoughts on some of the younger guys really starting to, get into the mix, like Durano and Gotti and so on and so forth?
Yeah, that home run was awesome. We've seen Gotti do it in batting practice, but it was good to see it happen in a game. Yeah, him and Antonio really are starting to come out of their shells and perform, and it's real nice to see. Like that a young core kind of come up and look good for the future, and they're contributing now real well, so it's good.
And one of the more experienced guys, John Lindgren, made that insane catch. What was your view on it?
Well, I was in the dugout, and I didn't think he was going to have to go over the fence, and then all of a sudden he jumped, turned the other way, and made an incredible acrobatic catch. It was crazy. It was awesome.
Bunch of midweek games for the team this year. You're going to obviously pitch against Bowdoin, so you're going to kind of sit back and watch the guys play. Obviously a chance for some of the guys to continue to make an impact, because I know Durano wasn't playing a whole that until a midweek game, right?
Yeah, he didn't play until that Hussing game, really, and then he kind of broke out. So it's real good, those midweek games give guys opportunities that don't usually get opportunities, and it also gives guys that are in the daily routine just to fall into a rhythm and kind of get some momentum going into the weekend.
I'm curious for you as a starter, preparing to face Bowdoin this weekend, how much do you get any type of scouting report, any type of idea of what they bring to the table? Or is it looking at stats, or you just not even worry about that?
We look at the stats. Yeah. I actually have one of my friends from high school plays at Tufts. He texted me a rundown of everything they do. So I have that, and then Coach will give us some tips and stuff about their lineup, and we have some spray charts to look at. But just looking at that stuff, I don't spend too much time looking at it, just because besides like who strikes out a lot, that kind of thing. But it's good to have just in case. Yeah.
Well, speaking of strikeouts, at this moment in time, you lead the NESCAC in strikeouts as a pitcher this year. Something you take pride in, striking guys out?
Yeah. It's always better when you strike a guy out. I kind of like it, but. It was one of my goals this year to improve my strikeouts. So far, I think I'm on a little better pace than last year. But it's good. Obviously you're just trying to get guys out, but it's nice when you can strike them out yourself.
And the defense behind you, it just seems like just terrific. I mean, Torres at third, Carter at short. That must give you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, we have a great infield. It's really good. Even Beal in center making incredible plays. It feels like every time a ball's put in play, we have a chance to get the guy out. So it just adds to confidence when you're on the mound.
Now, Saturday game was a 7-inning game, and you've obviously thrown in 9-inning games, thrown in 7-inning games. Any different type of mentality in a 7-inning game, or is it about the same for you?
Well, in the 7-inning game, obviously it's shorter. It means every inning counts. You can fall behind 2-0, and if you don't respond, all of a sudden it's the 5th inning, you're down 2-0. You only have 2 innings to get some runs going. So it's a lot quicker. I find it easier to pitch, if you can get ahead, obviously. Mm-hmm. You don't have to get 27 outs. You only need 21. So. But, it's the same kind of mentality, just attacking hitters, approach-wise. But, yeah, it's a little different.
For sure. And then, other guys on the pitching staff, who's been really kind of standing out to you so far, watching them go about their business?
Cam Carlson's kind of come out and started to pitch well. Obviously, Alex Simon. Yeah. Jared Pantaloni's been pitching well. He had 2 innings or 3 innings over the weekend, But, yeah, we just got a lot of guys. Everyone's contributing. It's just real nice to see. Well,
Pantaloni, a first-year guy. You pitched a bit as a first-year, just like he's pitching a bit as a first-year. Any lessons that you've talked to him about? Anything that, he should know about, developing his game? Because it looks like he has a lot of potential.
Yeah, he has a ton of potential. And I just sort of, in practice or when he's warming up in games, give him tips on how to approach guys and just kind of shoot ideas off each other. It's real good to have that kind of relationship within the team, and just forms an environment where everyone's getting better, which is nice. So
terrific. What are your thoughts on the 6 NESCAC divisional games you have left here?
We got to win them all. I think Bowdoin and Colby, they're not the most talented in the NESCAC, but they're still dangerous. Yeah. And in order to get in the playoffs, it looks like we got to win 5 or 6 of these games. So we got to come out and attack and just play with a lot of confidence.
All right, Nolan Collins, Male Bobcat of the Week. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
The women's tennis team had its final non-conference match of the year Sunday, defeating Wheaton College 8-1. Now, both tennis teams enter the heart of NESCAC play. The Bobcats take on Trinity, Amherst, and Middlebury this week, with the women taking on Colby on Monday for a 4th conference match in 6 days. First-year Anna Rozin has been a key contributor this season for the women's team. She won her match at number 1 doubles with Bella Stone on Sunday by a score of 8-2. Then she won 6-2, 6-2 at number 2 singles. And Anna Rozin is our female Bobcat of the week.
Female Bobcat of the week, Anna Rozin with us here on the Bobcast. And I know we talked back in the fall, during the fall season and whatnot, as you were just getting adjusted to Bates. How has that adjustment gone now heading into the spring and about halfway through the tennis season here?
So far, it's been really great. The adjustment has been really good because I've been able to figure out more with school and how to manage my time better. I think that right now we're doing really great, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
This past weekend, you played number 1 doubles with Bella Stone, a senior captain for the team. It's only the second time you'd played with her. So what's that adjustment like? How's that going?
It's been really great. I have a really fun time with her on the court. I think we play really, really well together, and we really feed off of each other's energy, and I think our game styles are really suitable for each other. So I'm really excited to see where the rest of the season takes us.
How do your game styles kind of blend together?
She's really, really great at the net, and when I'm able to set up the point for her to put the ball away at the net and vice versa as well, she has an amazing serve, and it really sets me up at the net so that I can put the ball away.
I've noticed, just walking around Merrill Gym, I've seen you training with guys on the men's team like Josh Keanu and whatnot. How does your practice regimen kind of go in terms of working with your teammates and also working with folks on the men's team as well?
I think it's actually an advantage because we're able to play with different game styles, not only against girls, but as well against guys. It allows us to have more challenges so that we're more prepared for when it comes to matches, and we're ready really for anything.
We talked a little bit before about this, but you're from Toronto. How did you decide that Bates was the place for you to come down for college?
When I came on my visit, I knew that this is the place where I wanted to be. Right away, the team made me feel as if I was already part of the family, and coaches are amazing, and the school, the academics, everything. I just knew that this is where I had to be the next 4 years.
You've had a lot of matches so far in the spring, but you've only had 2 NESCAC matches, and now all of a sudden it's going to really intensify. I believe there's 3 NESCAC matches this week, another one on Monday of next week, and so what are your thoughts heading into this week here?
My thoughts heading into this week are that as a team, we just really have to stay motivated and always have energy on court. We have to go in there super confident and just remember to play our games and to have fun, most importantly, just to have joy out there and to be thankful that we're able to play every day on courts.
You mentioned adjusting the academic schedule and whatnot. Is it nice to have this fall during break?
This week has been really, really nice, and I'm excited for the rest of these matches because on court sometimes it's hard to put away your academics and not think about anything. But for this week, I think it's going to be really great for our team because we don't have any other stress. It's just we're able to focus completely on tennis and just doing our best on court.
You're home Saturday against Middlebury, right? There's 2 road matches in your home Saturday. So folks come out to that match. Could be outside, could be inside. But who are some other players on the team folks should look out for, who you're excited to see continue their progress as well?
Honestly, I'm excited for everyone. Everyone has been having a really great season. Hannah Sweeney and Lauren have been playing together, and they've been doing really well. Susie has been doing amazing as well. Honestly, just everyone's been doing so great. I'm so happy that they're part of the team.
Biggest differences you've noticed between college tennis and playing in high school?
I think it would be the team aspect. In high school, it was very much an individual sport, but now I really feel the support from everyone, and we really motivate each other. They are what motivate me to keep going if I'm not playing well or if I'm down in a match. But my teammates and cheering out for each other is what allows me to play my best tennis.
I know you haven't gotten too much of a chance to play outdoors yet, but biggest differences, outdoor versus indoor playing, you think?
Mm-hmm. For me, it's a little bit difficult to adjust sometimes going between indoor and outdoor, but really it's just like Coach always says, we love the adversity and having a different environment. I think it's just important to focus on your game style, and then no matter if there's wind or it's sun, it's just focus on the point and try not to let anything else distract you, really.
We talked about your doubles match with Bella there this past Sunday against Wheaton College. How about at singles, playing at number 2? You're playing pretty high on the ladder as a first year. What's that experience been like?
It's been really amazing. I'm super thankful for it. I love being on court and being able to play, and I just want to win for the team, and I want the team to just do that as best as we can. So it's been a really great experience.
Sounds good. Anna Rozin, Female Bobcat of the Week. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The track and field teams competed at the UNH Wildcat Invitational on Saturday. Senior Katie Barker won the 3,000-meter run, and senior captain Aiden Eichhoff won the 800 meters. Meanwhile, a trio of pole vaulters impressed for the Bobcats, taking the top 3 spots and clearing the bar at 10 feet, 2.75 inches. Junior Ashley Pratt took first, first-year Lauren Barabee finished second, and first-year Lily Simmons came in third. Pratt joined us on the phone from Washington, D.C. to talk about the meet.
Tell us a little about your background. You're from the area. You went to Leavitt High School. You grew up in Greene. You're a pole vaulter. How did that get started, growing up? When did you start getting into pole vaulting?
So I, growing up, actually did competition cheering for a really long time. And so when I started doing track in middle school, trying to explore what events I wanted to try, pole vaulting seemed the most natural because through cheering I was used to being upside down and flipping and that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of a natural way a lot of people get into pole vaulting, especially if you have like any sort of gymnastics background. Yeah, and it's just being used to that type of movement too makes it very fun. And so that's how I kind of got used to it and introduced to it as well, and just have stuck with it since then.
Do you remember your first time doing a pole vault? Because I just feel like I would be very scared. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I mean, when you first start pole vaulting, it's very gradual progression. And so it's a lot of like hanging onto the pole, walking around on the ground, very, very low level jumping into the pit. And it takes a really, really long time to progress from jumping over 2 feet to actually getting inverted and actually getting yourself up in the air. So, I mean, the other thing too is like you're not bending the pole when you first start jumping either. It's very, very straightforward. It's almost like high jumping into the pit, but you're hanging onto a pole. And then as you progress, it takes a really long time to get to these points in your career. But things like bending the pole and doing things that are actually characteristic of competitive pole vaulting are really exciting milestones in the event.
Excellent. So when you were looking for colleges, what made Bates the place for you? What made you want to stay here local and go to college at Bates?
So it's funny because I'm from the area, I kind of, in spite of the fact that I'm from the area, I guess I didn't really know a lot about Bates, which I still find very surprising. And so once I got accepted to Bates, I started to look into the college a little bit more, and it was kind of crazy to me that Bates is as good of a school as it is, because I felt like it was just this little preppy school in the area that I didn't really know anything about, which is still so funny to me. But once I really started to look into the school and learn about it, I was really impressed with the academic side of it and the structure of how you pick classes and how there's a lot of freedom in who you as a student can be on campus. And then the other thing was the track team was really kind of a pull for me because it's a very competitive program, and everyone seems to work very, very hard. And it's also a very welcoming and very friendly community of people, which was really exciting for me, I guess.
Yeah, this past weekend, Bates took 1, 2, and 3 in the pole vault there at the UNH Wildcat Invitational. A couple of first years also, clearing the bar with you there at over 10 feet. Well, what are they like? Another local there in Lauren, and also Lily Simmons as well.
Yeah, Lauren Barabee, she and I actually competed against each other a little bit in high school, and so I knew who she was coming into Bates. She came to visit last year to check out the program. And she's a very good athlete. She is a little bit more ranged than Lily and I are. And she's kind of the athlete you can throw into anything, and she'll compete well, very calm and collected. But yeah, so I competed against her in high school, and so it's kind of fun seeing her at Bates, and seeing how she progressed in high school, being a couple of years behind me since I actually competed against her. But they're both very good athletes, both the same level as I am, and we're pretty competitive with each other. And the other thing is that last year at Bates was the only female vaulter, and so having them on the team this year has been really, really fun and exciting, and it's fun to go to meets like this where all of us are pretty much at the same level, so we can each attempt the same height, and when we have days like we did at UNH where we clear it together, it's really exciting. So yeah, going 1, 2, 3 at UNH was a lot of fun because it got to a point where it was just us three competing against each other and the rest of the field was out. And so it's really it's like supportive to have them there right with me, and we're all kind of working toward the same goals, but we have each other to kind of talk through these things as well and support each other.
So you mentioned, last year you were the lone, female vaulter on the team. What was that experience like? I mean, that's got to be a little, interesting kind of dynamic there. There were male vaulters, but you were the lone one on the women's team.
I mean, I definitely loved the men on the team, and it was still very much a team atmosphere. And I love Fresh. It was a very still supportive group of people and fun most of the time. The only time I really noticed that I was the only vaulter was when we were at meets and the men couldn't be there at certain points, or obviously I'm the only one competing in the field when it's just women and warming up by myself and little things like that. I definitely feel like between last year and this year, I can control my nerves better, and it's a lot more relaxed because I have two other girls there that I'm equally as excited for them to compete as I am for myself. But it's also just fun to have people to warm up with and people to get excited for while the meet's going on, and it doesn't just feel like you're worried about you the entire time. So that's definitely something I've really appreciated this year, having those two around. And even at practice, we are very similar athletes, and so we kind of feed off of each other. When Lauren or Lily has a really good day at practice, we see that and it encourages each other to make our own improvements, and we each have our own strengths as vaulters. And so it's nice to have Lauren and Lily to learn some things about vaulting that I need improvements from by proxy and so on.
Well, this weekend, the women's team is hosting the Aloha Relays. Tell us about this meet, because I know it's a little bit different than others, perhaps, right?
Yeah, so this is the same time of the year where men are having the state meet, and
right.
The Aloha Relays kind of replaces what would be the state meets for the women, so it'll be all teams from the state of Maine, but it's a lot more of a fun meet and a lot more relaxed than states would be. So they do things like give out lays for people who place in the top 3 or top 5 maybe, and people try events that they don't normally do for fun, and we throw in some relays with people who don't normally sprint for the fun of it, and there are definitely people who are going to be at the meet trying to get their marks and really competing, but it's also a lot more of a fun atmosphere, and people are just there to have a good time as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited.
Any idea what events you'll be doing? I mean, pole vault.
Pole vault's my main event. That's all I'll be doing on Saturday.
Oh, gotcha. So you're focused on the pole vault exclusively at this point.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Was that the kind of plan coming in? How did you talk with Coach Jay and Coach Fresh about when you were first starting at Bates, if the pole vault was going to be your only event, if there were going to be other events as well?
Well, so I was recruited for the team when I was looking at Bates, and my most successful event in high school was pole vault. So I knew going into Bates that was what I was primarily going to be the most excited about competing in college. But I used to do hurdles and some other events in high school. And so when I got to Bates, I kind of played around with doing hurdles, triple jump, while also working on vault. And I just had some shin issues my freshman year, a lot of that impact. And so toward the end of my freshman year, Coach Jay and I made the decision that because vault is the event I care about the most, to preserve my shins in that way and focus on only vault and being successful in that event.
For the remainder of the season, what are some goals that you have in mind, or the team has kind of set, kind of going forward into championship season coming up? Because after Aloha Relays, I know there's NESCACs and New England's and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are a lot of people on the team who have national level aspirations, and we have some really strong competitors who are going to be exciting to watch toward the end of the season. Definitely All-American potential. And I personally would like to PR improve. I know 11 feet has been a goal of mine for a long time, and I think Lily and Lauren feel the same way.
Yeah.
So just seeing those personal improvements across the season would be really, really exciting.
Excellent. Ashley Pratt, thank you so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
In men's track and field, junior captain Brendan Donahue won the decathlon with a career best 5,913 points at the Sylphin Invitational, the 8th best mark in program history. Meanwhile, sophomore John Rax moved into 10th place all-time at Bates in the hammer throw at the UNH Wildcat Invitational with a top effort of 190 feet. He also set a PR and placed second in the discus. This Saturday, the men travel to Brunswick for the Maine State Men's Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Head coach Al Fereshetian previews the meet.
Coach, Bates, Bowdoin, it's been a showdown at states, it seems like every year since I've been here, before then as well. What's this rivalry like in track and field?
It's pretty intense. I mean, for both teams. I mean, we both really want to compete with the best that our teams are capable against each other. And certainly for this meet, I know they're going to sell out and they're going to put their best effort forward. And we certainly have to match that effort and that intensity, that focus.
Well, this year at indoors, Bates took the title back from Bowdoin, looking to do the same thing in outdoors. What was the indoor meet like, and does anything carry over to outdoors? Or is it a brand new season kind of?
It really is kind of a new season.
Yeah.
A lot of the same players.
Yeah.
And so there's a base there that we can work on and build from, but it's going to be an entirely different meet. And I think we actually probably surprised them a little bit indoors, maybe even shocked them, and maybe we woke them up a little bit. Because that really probably should have been their meet to win, and we won it fairly convincingly. And I know they've got an outstanding group of seniors right now, and they're a proud group, and I think they probably took affront to that. So I'm expecting to see a great team out of them this weekend.
Obviously, a bunch of events. What are some key events that might swing the meet one way or another, you think?
Well, I think, they have strengths in certain areas. We have strengths in certain areas, and I think we're both going to have to, make sure we maximize the benefit we get out of those events. So I think some of those events that are going to be swing events are going to be events on the track, and I think the hurdles could be a very important event. They've got a great hurdler who's been out all year, and he's back, so I expect that he'll be a big factor in things. But we've got a bunch of hurdlers that I think can counter that a little bit. I think that certainly the a lot of the middle distance like the 400, 800, the mile, those are all, or 1500 outdoors. Those are all going to be I think significant events that I think are really going to be a dual meet battle in the 5K and 10K between Bates and Bowdoin. So it'll be interesting. We have strength in the throws, but they've got a couple of really good throwers that can certainly grab a lot of good quality points in those events. They've got strength in the jumps, so we got to find a way to kind of balance that out a little bit and try to maybe attack in there a little bit more too.
Who are some athletes who you're really excited to see maybe have a breakthrough meet for the Bobcats?
I think I always start first with the seniors and start looking at them, and a guy like Tyler Harrington, who's been such a huge part of our program for the last 4 years, and he's just a tremendous young man. He'll be competing in all 4 of the throwing events, and fortunately they're actually contesting the javelin on Friday afternoon, so that will make his Saturday schedule a little bit easier. And the javelin is one of his primary events, but he's definitely stepped up significantly in the hammer and the discus and even the shot. So we're looking for some great things there. He's really been a great part of what we're trying to get done. Zach Campbell has been tremendous all year as one of our captains and one of our leaders, and he'll be a big presence with Johnny in the hammer. But he's also getting a lot better in the disc and could be really dangerous there. And even the shot has the potential to really get in there and do some things. I think of Bart Rust certainly in the steeplechase as a freshman. He's been outstanding all year long. But it might be guys like indoors, guys like Jackson Elkins, freshman in the middle distance runners, and Jeremy Bennett, who had a great double in the mile and the 1,000. It's going to be the strength of the team that's really going to step up and make a difference and kind of go there.
The steeplechase, that's such a crazy event. How much can you really practice that?
Well, a lot.
Yeah, you can, with all the water set up and everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, we haven't really, we don't do a lot of that in practice.
Okay.
we will as the season progresses. It's just we're in Maine in April and March, and it's not real easy to get in the water. But the bottom line is we do a lot of work, and I think what attracts a lot of people to the steeplechase is it's kind of like cross country on the track. So if you love cross country, then it's kind of a natural fit. But the other piece, and I was a steeplechaser in college, so it's one of my favorite events, but it adds, along with the training component that a distance runner has to go through to be successful, it also adds a technical component. So you can take that point, and and if you've got that kind of mindset, it's really a good match. And Bart's done a great job. Nico Johnson, one of our cross country captains, will also be a big factor in those events. That should be a good event for us. It'll be interesting to see how the other positions kind of play out, because there's probably some spots there.
I know the indoor state meet ends, of course, with the famed blackout relay. How does the outdoor meet wrap up? Is it a relay, or how does that go?
Yeah, last event's the 4x4, and that's it's always an exciting event. Yeah. Probably doesn't have quite the folklore that the 4x8 does indoors. Yeah. And honestly, when in a meet like this, where it's going to be Bates and Bowdoin, the relays, quite honestly, probably aren't as important as some of the individual events. I think probably, I don't think Coach Slavinsky will be, resting his guys to be fresh for the 4x4. We're going to be using our athletes all the way through. So it's going to be probably a battle of, and I think this is the way the meet's going to come down to, is who wants it more. Because everybody's going to be tired, everybody's going to be fatigued at that point in time. And the relay points are important, but potentially the individual points that some of those members can score throughout the course of the meet are even more important.
I know recruiting for track and field, you don't necessarily have to go see people participate in high school. You can look at numbers and whatnot. But what is it like recruiting? Like, do you recruit against Bowdoin a lot? I mean, I imagine similar athletes you're both trying to get them, right?
Sure. We see, Bates, Bowdoin, and Colby. Yeah. Any kid that's coming up from out of state is probably going to be visiting all three. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really the difference is, really the feel that they get on a campus, the feel that they get from a team, what they're looking for in a program. And I think, guys that are looking for a highly team-centered focus, a lot of times you don't see that in track and field. And I think a lot of times high school kids that are coming in to visit, they don't maybe even comprehend what that means. But when you compete in a meet like this, you figure it out very quickly that it's not just about you. It's about what you're doing to help the rest of your team be successful.
Terrific. Well, any other thoughts we haven't discussed about the main state meet you wanted to mention here?
Well, it's one of the oldest, longest-running meets in the history of track and field in the United States of America. So there's a lot of prestige. I'm not sure what the number is. It's something like 125 or something along that lines. But it's been around since before the before the 20th century. Right. So it's got a lot of history, a lot of tradition. It is certainly one of the highlights on our schedule every year, and I'm expecting that our team's going to hopefully step up to the plate and hopefully duplicate what we did indoors, but I know that it's going to be a tremendous battle with Bowdoin.
All right, Al Fereshetian, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
The following Bates teams are at home this week. Number 22, nationally ranked Bates women's lacrosse hosts number 5 Tufts on Tuesday. Baseball and softball host Husson and UMaine Farmington respectively on Thursday. Baseball hosts Bowdoin, softball hosts Trinity, and men's tennis hosts Middlebury on Friday. Women's track and field hosts the Aloha Relays on Friday and Saturday. Softball hosts Trinity in a doubleheader, men's lacrosse hosts Amherst, and women's tennis hosts Middlebury on Saturday. For a complete schedule, go to GoBatesBobcats.com, and we'll recap it all next time on the Bates Bobcast.